I am so excited to get to share with you our brand new 12 by 12 sketchbook volume number 5 from the creative design team. We just launched this a couple days ago, put it out on our social media. This has 42 sketches, 21 double page layouts. You can use them singly or as a double page layout if that's how you scrapbook. Sketches are such a great tool to help you jump into the creative process without taking too much time on the design aspect of layouts. The layouts in here are grayscale, so to help you visualize what this could look like with any kind of paper. Photo sizes, measurements, all of that is included for each sketch. And this time we have something a little extra special. We've created a QR code, which as we make videos from the sketches in this book, we're going to add them to this playlist. And so when you scan that, it will take you directly to the playlist and you can find some inspiration maybe for one of the sketches you are working on. This video is part of a collaboration with the creative design team. They will be posting videos all this week sharing ideas from the sketchbook. You can find all of our sketchbooks at cdtcreatives.com. This is a digital file. And we have some information in here about the team and how you can use the sketchbook, and then it just jumps right in to the sketches. I had a hard time deciding which sketch I wanted to use first, but I decided to go with this one because it fit the photos that I wanted to use. It was the right orientation of the photos, right number of photos. So that's what helped me choose. All the measurements are here, photo sizes are here, and it really takes the guesswork out of things for you. So I am going to be scrapbooking today the photos of Isabella when she first learned how to skate. This was her first time up on skates. My friend Michelle and her son Noah took her out and taught her the very important thing of how to stand up, pushing off your leg to stand up after you fall down, because you are going to fall down. By the end of it, I think it was like a 2-hour session, she was already trying to shoot the puck. So she caught on fairly quickly, still lots of falling down, but lots of smiles. I love these photos. This was like the first time out. Pretty nerve-wracking for the first time, but she did so good. So I want to get these scrapped. And I was looking in my collection of papers for some blues. So this is the Nature Walk collection. And this one has all kinds of like teals, blues, greens. But what really caught my eye is this piece here. This is front and back. We have these beautiful, we've got this really deep blue pattern, very subtle pattern. And then this one here is what really caught my eye. It made me think of kind of like swirls on the ice. I just thought that that would work really good. My photos are very neutral. She's got gray pants on. She's got a navy blue coat, a black hat, and there's not a lot of color going on. The ice is like white and gray, and there's just tons of neutrals in here. So I thought bringing in this pattern would be a good idea because it kind of brightens things up a little bit with that balmy blue and just makes it a little bit more vibrant. And of course, her neutral colors will go along with lots of different things. But I think I'm going to focus on these ones. I'm going to have to be careful how I cut my paper so that I can utilize the back of the sheet as well. So I'm just going to clear this off and then we can jump into creating. I'm going to go with White Willow cardstock for my bases. And then I'm just going to lay out my photos and then we can figure out the paper situation here. Maybe where we want everything to go. If you've never ordered one of our sketchbooks, they are a digital file, which means you can look at them digitally on your device, or you can print them out, keep them in a binder. This coil book that I use is from Dollarama here in Canada. It basically just has like plastic covers, like thick plastic covers, and then top-loading sheet protectors that are inside. I just print it off and put them in. I've also gotten our sketchbooks coil bound at Staples. Just kind of depends how you like to look at your books. I think this is how I want these photos. I have 2 4x6s, and I do want this one going this way so that they are facing into the layout, because I think if I have them facing off the edge there, I am not going to like that as much. This one is kind of straight on, and her eyes are not looking at the camera, so I could put that one on either side, but I think I'm going to keep this one over here. And then with these two, this one is kind of lighter and brighter. It's farther away. So I think I'm going to put that one above this one. This one looks a little bit visually heavier to me. And then over here, I was kind of debating between this one on the bottom and that one on the top, or the other way around. I don't think it really matters too much. I think both ways looks pretty good. My main pattern paper on here is going to be this pattern. And then I'm just going to slide this over here. We're going to have a continuous design that just runs from one page to the next. Then for the strips that are going along the bottom, I need two different patterns. So I'm going to use the back side of this nice like deep blue color. Could also use cardstock for that too. I'm not sure how high up I want this yet, if I want like very much showing underneath. We'll see. And then for my other strip, I was thinking of using this. This is a new paper. It's called Lunar Lustre, and it's actually coming out in March. This is a little bit of a sneak peek, but it's one of the March online exclusives, and it is a beautiful paper. It makes me think of like any kind of tools or those new gears. The gears and textures set would work perfectly, but I also thought it would go with my photos really nice and add a little bit of shimmer. And I could just bring it in and have it just be plain, but I think what I want to do is actually emboss it. So I have the So Swirly embossing folder. This is just a regular one, not a 3D folder, and I'm just gonna run that through my machine. This is what they look like when they're embossed. I love the pattern that that folder does. Now this one, you can see I have a little bit of a gap. And that's because even though this is a really large embossing folder, I had to do it twice to get this long strip. And the part where they met, I just didn't roll it all the way through. Either way, I would have some sort of line or change in the pattern here. So I just rolled it in part way and then rolled it out. And it left me with a little bit of a gap between the pattern, but that is totally fine because it's going to go over here where my embellishments are going to be. So it should be hidden, no problem. And then this one will go over on this side. And I can play around with how high I want them to be, how much they're overlapping. And then on this side, I cut another piece of that dark blue to come up against my photos, and then another piece of that silver. All right, now I'm gonna add some photo mats to my two 4x6s here. Just make them a little bit more prominent, just adding another layer. I did print these with a white border, so it just helps them pop a little bit more. And then I think what I want to do over here, in the sketch there is a layer that goes underneath, but I think I kind of like having just the white. So I'm debating maybe if I can get everything lined up evenly, what I might do is just put my little strip down, and then that will mark the edge of where the photos go, and then I'll just kind of evenly space my photos out in the remaining area. I could put more of this color behind here, but I don't think I will like how that looks. I usually like something clean and simple behind my photos, and I think that will just make it look kind of lost. I could go with a darker color behind them, like that, and then maybe flip this over to the brighter side. So that could be an option. I have to trim this. It's a little bit too long. Actually, I really like that too. Maybe instead of using the pattern, maybe I should use cardstock. I'm already just starting on my third pack of that Nature Walk paper. So I'm gonna try and preserve it as much as possible. If I can use Night of Navy cardstock instead, that might be the way to go. But I do think I like that blue better, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. But before I attach anything, I know that I'm going to have an embellishment cluster here, embellishment cluster here, plus my journaling. So I'm going to have kind of a diagonal design. And I think what I'd like to do is add some splatter behind here on the base page. So I want to do that before I stick anything down. It's much easier to control that way. So I'm just going to grab a little pencil here just to lightly mark where the edges are going to be. This, I just need to mark that corner so I can see where the corner is. And then I can go ahead and do some splattering. I have an old shipping box here that I like to do my splattering in just to keep the mess contained. And then I have an acrylic block a little fan brush, and my Wink of Stella clear shimmer. And then I want to make this a color, so I'm going to bring in the Balmy Blue. I'm going to try this. If I don't like it or it's not deep enough, then I will, try it out with a different color. But let's start with the Balmy Blue and see how that goes. So you can get color out with your re-inkers or just by squishing your ink pad onto your block. It's also a great way to do watercolor this way. And then I'm just going to squeeze some of this. If you don't want it super shimmery, you could also add some just pure water to that as well. I will add a little bit of water. And then let's put this into the box. I want to take this up the side. Whoa. I'm getting lots of speckles here. Don't worry about the ones in the middle. Those aren't going to show anyways. But I think that should work pretty good. And then we'll do this other side. I'm not worried about going somewhere that I don't want it to because a lot of this is going to be covered. This is a pretty small brush, so I have very small speckles that I'm getting with this. So if you want bigger kind of splotches, you're going to want to use a bigger brush. I went and washed that block off in my sink just so I didn't end up dripping places I didn't want to. And the nice thing about all these tiny little speckles is they shouldn't take very long to dry. Now that that's done, I can go ahead and just stick all my pieces down to my base pages, and then we can look at some ideas for embellishments. Everything is attached now except for this photo and that photo mat because I want to try something on this photo. And before I do that, I wanted to show you my journaling. So I've printed this out on cardstock. All I did was create a 3-inch circle in my Pages program, so like Word, whatever word processing program you use on your computer. I made a 3-inch circle, and then I took a text box and put it over top of the circle so that I could size and kind of keep track of where my wording was going. And then I just printed it out after I deleted the circle. And then I can just die cut this and put it on my page. So I'm going to cut this down now so I can fit it through my machine. And I should probably washi tape it into place too so that it doesn't end up shifting on me. Here's my circle. Now in the sketch, it is tucked underneath the photo mat, but I did it so that my journaling could go all the way to the edge. So this is just going to be overlapping. I guess I can decide how far in or out I want to be once I figure out my other embellishments. And now over here for my title. So in the sketch, the title's going right here. If you had a really long title, you could like stretch it all the way along. That would look good too. But what I was thinking, this photo is the perfect spot for stamping right on the photo. So I have this Fabulous Sayings. This is the January product of the month. So you can get this as long as it's available. When you place a $100 order, you can get it for $5. And I love the You Can Do Anything. I thought that would make an awesome title for this page, and all I'd have to do is one stamp. Now it can be tricky to stamp on photo paper, and not all photo paper likes to take ink. I use Epson semi-gloss, and it's a little bit more absorbent than other papers. Sometimes like really high gloss paper does not like to take stamping on top, but this paper I have had a lot of luck with stamping. So I definitely want to bring in my stamp platform for this job. I actually just received my new stamp platform. This is a new product that Stampin' Up is coming out with very soon. It is in pre-order right now for demonstrators. And then next month, it will actually be free. When you sign up as a demonstrator, you get it added to your kit for free. So this has a small plate and a large plate, and it has these like springy little feet that help you stamp. So these little knobs right here, that is where you put the holes, and then you just press down. And you see it has that spring action, it springs back up. And then with the smaller block, see how it has pegs all the way along? You can do like tile stamping with this, so you could just keep moving it down and like repeatedly stamp onto a piece. I just got it the other day, so I definitely need to do some playing with it. It is magnetic, so you can use the magnets to hold your paper in place. And then it has these little pieces here, these tiny little pegs, and that's where you can put your grid paper. You can get a whole pad of this grid paper and then you put it on by just pressing it over those little pegs. And this is great because it helps you line things up. Like that, I can make sure that my photo is going to stay straight all the way down, which is very helpful. And then of course I can also hold it in place with my magnets. Now inks, if you have like high gloss photos, I would try like on a scrap piece first, like a scrap piece of your photo paper first, and use Stays-On ink. That will stick to all kinds of very slippery surfaces. I am going to use my Archival Black from Close to My Heart. This usually does really well for me stamping on photos and things like that. I also tried using the Stampin' Up ink in Night of Navy, and it did dry. It was kind of extra sticky though, like as I was stamping it, it really stuck. And I had a couple of like mishaps with it. It did not stamp perfectly, but it did dry. So if you're wondering if it would dry on this kind of photo paper, it does. But like I said, whatever photo paper you're using does make a big difference when it comes to like smudging or not drying and sinking into the paper. This platform will be available at some point in the future for everyone, like just to purchase. We just don't have a date on when that is yet. I am putting the backing sheet that goes with the stamp set over my photo because if you just take a sticky photopolymer stamp and set it on top of your photo, lots of times it will peel off the ink on there, or it's just gonna like mess up the surface of your photo, and it makes moving it around and placing it very difficult. I think I wanted something like that. And that plastic is just protecting it for me. And then I can put this on, pick it up with my platform, and then I'll just peel that off. Even after the stamp has been used, it's still fairly sticky. So then I'm going to take my ink pad and just ink this up. Now the whole idea of using a stamp platform is that if you mess up, you get another chance. You can perfectly line it up again, and that's why I use the grid paper to make sure my photo is perfectly aligned. Okay, now this is a bit sticky, so you can see it's pulling up. That's okay, don't worry. That's why I use the grid paper to line this up so that I can get it perfectly lined up again, and that should be, hopefully should be right. Regular stamping is not this sticky. Maybe when you have like a brand new stamp, you can have some problems with that, but because I'm stamping on photo paper, it's just an extra tricky surface to stamp on. Okay, let's go round 2, see how we make out. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect. Nothing better than a perfectly stamped stamp. That is awesome. I'm just gonna clean this right away with my chamois. Those magnets, look at that. You can do anything. I love that. If you're interested in getting your hands on this stamp platform, February 3rd to March 2nd is when you can sign up as a demonstrator and get your free platform. In Canada here, that is about a $67 value on top of the discounted product you already get in a starter kit that you get to pick for yourself. I will link down in the description box where it says more in very tiny letters underneath this video. You can click on that, and then I will have a link to all the sign up information if you're interested. Now it's time to look at some embellishing. I don't want to attach my circle until we get there. I did use the Spotlight on Nature die set for that circle. In case you're wondering where that came from, I get a lot of use out of that set. And now I looked through my stash and I have the Snowy Delights bundle, and that one actually has stencils and dies and a stamp set. There's the stamp set. Really big snowflake. So that might be fun to have like a couple of really big snowflakes as the base for my cluster. That could work really good. There's some smaller ones in here. I did just check. This has been added to last chance. The die set is actually sold out already, it looks like. The masks are there at a discount, and the stamp set in French is there, and the stamp set says it's coming back. It's currently sold out, but it's coming back on February 9th, just for the stamp set. So I think I'll probably use that. And then this is the only kind of like skating thing I own, are these little skates. And I was thinking that could be fun to add some skates to my cluster. And this one has a couple of options. I can stamp them, has the stamped skates, and then it also has the die that you can like cut them out. But there's also standalone dies where I can like layer up the pieces. We have the skates, the blades, the laces. So I could do like a layered die cut for that as well. So that's two options for skates. And then I have this one. This is Snowflake Kisses die set. And I really love this one for the smaller snowflakes. I think there's even a smaller set. This has like 2 pieces of magnet. It was so big I couldn't fit it all on one side, but it has these little tiny snowflakes, which I love for clusters, having a good variety of sizes. I have this really big one, right? That's pretty ginormous. That would be a good like focal point. And then some kind of medium sizes, and then some small, like really itty bitty ones. So I think I might want to pull out that Lunar Lustre paper again, this silver, as well as some glitter paper and maybe some cardstock, and maybe just cut a whole bunch of snowflakes in different colors, different sizes, and see what I end up with. You really can't go wrong because in my book, snowflakes are like the florals of winter, and we can really just kind of layer them, cluster them. I'm thinking having some come here because I definitely want to cover this spot. I mean, I could move my circle down here as well, but I'm kind of thinking a whole sort of corner piece down here, and then maybe a smaller, slightly smaller one up here that doesn't like wrap around quite as much. Because I'm not adding a title, I do have some more like breathing room down here, which is nice. To make my large snowflakes, I'm using those Snowy Delights masks, and there's 4 different ones that all layer together. I thought I'd use my stamp positioner to help hold it in place. There is a little like notched line where I have the point of it sitting. You can line your paper up there, or like me, you can line up your stencils. It actually really helps to get them lined up properly. Started out with a layer of Balmy Blue, now going in with Blueberry Bushel, and I'm trying to take some of that Blueberry Bushel off. That's why you see me like dabbing it onto the mask, because I didn't want it too dark too fast, because I have a lot of dark blues here. And now I'm going in with Night of Navy with the 3rd layer of this snowflake. I love how these layer together. They are so good. I think they'd make an awesome background if you wanted to fill like a whole sheet of paper with them. And then I'm going to finish it off with Secret Sea for the last layer of this snowflake. These magnets definitely help to hold the stencil in place, but you do still need to hold it with your fingers as well because it's a bit slippery. Now that is my completed snowflake. I can use the coordinating die and die cut it out. I made 3 of these big snowflakes all together, and I'm just going to pop them into place so I can see kind of how much space I have to work with. And then I'm going to bring in that new silver paper, some white glitter, and some blue glitter paper. And that's what I'm going to cut all my smaller snowflakes from. Now I'm just going to start placing them down. I want to make sure I'm having a variety between the 3 different colors, a variety of sizes. Usually as I get to the edge of my clusters, I kind of taper it off. And then I also have some skates that I'm going to add. I think I'm going to add it to both clusters. You can see as I'm placing the snowflakes, I'm kind of going in like little triangle patterns so they're offset from each other. And that's usually my preference when I'm scattering elements like this. And typically this is something I spend way too much time on, trying to find the perfect spot for all my elements. I wanted to add a little bit of shading to my skates, so I'm using the Ice Gray Blends TriBlend marker and just adding it where I want the shadows, and then using a colorless blender to blend that out. And then for the skate blades, I'm using this Quicksilver Paint Pen. I believe they don't make this anymore. I can never find it to link it. But if you have any kind of gel pen, like a silver gel pen, should work really great for that too. You could skip this step, but I think it helps finish things off nicely. Now, I felt like I had just a few things that are missing from this page, so I went and grabbed the Nature Walk sticker sheet that goes with that paper pack, and thankfully there's some really nice blue stickers that actually match my layout. So this border sticker, I just kept feeling like there was something missing because originally the title was supposed to go here, and I think this sticker is going to be the perfect thing to just add a little bit of pattern, a little bit of interest right there. I am going to cut it right here and move the remaining piece to the end, which really is unnecessary because the skates are going to cover it anyways. So I really didn't need to do that, but I love how I was able to stretch this across the 2 pages and just fill in that little bit of emptiness right there. It made me so much happier. Now there are some little word stickers that I want to use, and if I would have had more of them, I would have stacked them like this, two on top of each other. Then I just started trying them in different places. I'm like, oh, I really like that over there. And then I was thinking, oh, I kind of like this over here to spread it out around the page. So I ended up adding a little one here for my date, which was great because I missed that detail in my journaling. I think this is where I'm going to call it. I could totally keep going, more snowflakes. I was thinking maybe some like mini sparkles here and there, but I think I'm gonna leave it. I think this has enough, and you know, I have my story, my photos, that's the important part. So I'm just gonna give you a little close-up so you can see the splatter in the background. We do have that little bit of shimmery splatter. And then our cluster, everything put together, all the glitter papers, our little skates. I'm so glad I finally got to use that skate stamp. That makes me really happy. And our title. I feel like this sticker strip and the little stickers that I added here and there really added a lot. I love having the option to add stickers. It's so quick and easy and just adds those extra little touches, little words, place for my date, and then my big cluster over here. So I didn't add dimension to a lot of things, just my skates are popped up, everything else is flat. A lot of the snowflakes, they're glued just in the center, because once they're in the page protector, it's really not gonna matter. But I love this fun texture we have over here. I am the first one up for this collaboration, so make sure you check out the playlist here as the week goes on and everyone else on the creative design team is posting. And head to cdtcreatives.com to grab your new sketchbook. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon with another video.